Welcome back to WRPL. It's the podcast where we talk about all the things we're watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben.
And I'm Steve.
How's it going, Steve?
Doing well, Ben.
Are you really? This is not a week of doing well.
Yeah, that's true.
This is a bad week. No one's happy.
I
mean, some are happy.
A lot of people are happy.
But it's just it's not a good week for us.
You and I are never happy.
And I was scrolling through TikTok, and I have been this whole week, just doom scrolling about everything. And there'd be someone who I like who's doing a movie review or a little sketch, and I just like instantly scroll past it. Like, this is not a time for fun and joyous things. Like, it's hard for me to give a shit about movies and stuff anymore. I feel like the joy has left.
It's called disassociation, Ben. Get on level with me, my man.
So we're gonna try. Our main topic tonight is Heretic, and a new A24 movie. Who doesn't like that? Got a couple other things. I want to start off just to make things even worse.
Okay.
Tony Todd has died.
Yes.
He died. He's 69. He was just, it's not really incredibly old, but I guess he was dealing with some sort of sickness, and it just kind of took him. He died in his home with his family. Candyman himself, he was also in The Crow. He was in Final Destination as maybe he's Death. Who knows? The Grim Reaper.
Kind of a horror legend.
Yeah, he's just been in so much, and he did the voice of Venom in the new Spider-Man game.
Yeah, that's
true. He was just one of those guys that, there's a lot of actors, you go, oh, it's that guy.
Yeah.
But you don't know their name.
Yep.
Tony Todd is one of those guys, but you know his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. R.I.P. Tony Todd. At least you don't have to suffer with the rest of us. All right. I'm going to start
with a roll.
God damn it. See, I'm supposed to do the roll even before the deaths. You had it in your hand and everything.
Well, we'll call these our death-saving rolls. That's the thing, dude.
Okay.
All right. So we got to get over a 10. 9. I died.
Oh.
18?
16? 18. All right, so I did so good, I brought you back with me.
I'll take it.
I doubled yours, so I think it's only fair. All right, I'm going to start with something that I have not read. Okay. I've only gotten some information about it, but it seems kind of cool, and I wanted to see if you've heard about it.
Okay.
Do you know DC's new line of comics, Absolute? It's like Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman, and Absolute Superman.
Nope.
So the idea behind this is take a classic character, but remove something that is like a core to that character. Take that away. How is that character now? So for
Batman's parents are alive.
One of them is.
Oh, okay.
But it's take away Bruce Wayne's money.
Okay.
So he was raised relatively poor. His dad does die in an attack at a zoo. He was like a teacher. And, Bruce Wayne is still Bruce Wayne. He's very smart. He learned how to build this like extending flexible thing for like making bridges that are like really thin but strong.
Okay.
And he uses that as his cape. So he could use it as like spears on his arms if he wants to, or use it to like climb a wall. It's almost kind of like a Spawn sort of thing, but it's mechanical. And he's fucking huge, man. This Batman is so wide, and if you look up,
bigger than like the Frank Miller version.
Oh yeah, he's enormous.
Yeah,
and if you look at the logo, when I first saw it, I was like, "That's ugly as fuck." I want you to do it on your phone. Go Absolute Batman logo, and it makes sense because it is so fucking wide, just like his chest. But he can take it off and add a pole to it, and it's a battle axe.
That's fucking cool.
Pretty cool.
Oh, well, here's a picture of him with the battle axe. That's sweet.
It is pretty cool. So it's just Batman, and
so it's a rectangle with like a couple
of points at the top. Yeah,
that's stupid.
So a lot of the other characters, like he works at a gym, and Killer Croc is like the guy who owns the gym. He's not a crocodile man. They just call him Killer Croc because he's a fighter.
Snappy.
So it seems like he's actually kind of friends with a lot of his villains who maybe not have become villains. And then they do tease the Joker at the end of the episode, and he seems to be like a very wealthy but frail man. I'm not
Like
sure
a
where
Mr. Burns kind of thing.
he kind of looked like that. So we'll see where that goes. Wonder Woman isn't as interesting. It's take away her being raised on Themyscira. It's like the gods kind of raised Themyscira to the ground.
Okay.
But someone took her as a baby and gave her to a witch that was put on an island as like punishment, and she has to raise this kid. So this witch has raised Wonder Woman, so now she knows magic, and she is like being a defender to help the people still, but against like evil demons and stuff like that. And she has like a red lasso now. It's pretty cool looking. I mean, she flies like a Pegasus, I think.
So she kind of like stronger. I don't really know this character that well, but Zatara, she's like the magic chick in DC, right?
Zatanna,
yeah, sorry,
but not in the same way. It's just Wonder Woman doing her thing. She is still a warrior, but she also knows magic as well.
Sweet.
And then Superman is really interesting. Is what if he was raised on Krypton?
Okay.
So the symbol on their chests are more of a class system, and it's like, the S just means you're kind of lower class. They're farmers, and they're harnessing the red sun energy to power their stuff, but it's breaking down Krypton. And of course, his dad is like, we can't do this. But it hasn't gotten very far into all these are just number ones that have come out. So we know Superman will eventually come to Earth, but as an adult, and he has like long flowing hair. So it's like he still was raised by good parents in a good home. And so he'll still have some of those things, but he doesn't, think of himself as an Earthling or part of this planet. So how does that change Superman?
Interesting.
So yeah, and I think there's a Green Lantern one coming, a Martian Manhunter. I don't know what their hooks are, but
what if he's teal? It'd be real funny. I mean, not that. I mean, I guess Superman could come to Earth and still have like a secret identity, but it'd be pretty funny if Superman like traveled light years across galaxies to just work as a farmer still. It's like, I left my old job to like travel and work internationally. Oh, I'm a farmer. But I mean, I guess like do what you know. Yeah. So it'd be the easiest way to blend in. I get it. But anyway.
So they look cool. I'm looking forward to following people who read them and then explain them to me, because I will not be picking them up myself.
So is this version of Batman, do you know, is he willing to kill with a battle axe?
I don't think so, but I think he's willing to hurt more. Like he cut someone's arm off with that battle axe.
Oh, sweet.
So he's definitely more brutal, but I don't know if he has a no-kill policy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not that I care super much either way, but I was just curious.
Yeah. Let's see. You wanna do one?
Sure. I saw a movie called We Live in Time. You and I and Nick briefly kind of talked about it off air, but I'll just summarize.
No, it was on the episode.
Oh, it was on the episode?
Yeah.
Oh, then I don't need to talk about it, I guess.
No, I mean, you could say your thoughts. I thought we
talked about it off air.
No, he did it on air.
Oh, all right. Well, then.
Well, that's what happens when you don't re-listen to the episode, Steve.
Oops. B.
Yeah.
We'll just go with that. I don't need to talk about it.
Okay, good, but not that.
Yeah,
great.
I enjoyed it. But obviously well acted because those two are great.
Awards.
It just doesn't feel like the kind of movie that warrants them, even though I think the performances are good enough to be nominated. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't get any nominations, at least Oscars. I could see maybe like Golden Globes or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, if you like sweet movies with charming couple and their struggles, I don't think it reinvents the wheel in any real way. But the time jumping from like the beginning of the relationship to like near the end to like just moments in their lives going back and forth, I think is an interesting way to tell that story, and I definitely think it helps the movie narratively, because I don't think it would really work if you just told it linearly.
Okay.
Chronologically. Jesus Christ.
In order of occurrence.
Yeah, I promise I can say these words.
Steve's drunk this episode.
But I enjoyed it. I wouldn't say to anyone, oh, you have to go out and see it right away. But I also hate telling people like, oh, just wait for streaming because I love the movie theaters and I fight for them. So if you have money, go see it.
If you have the Regal Pass, go see it.
But otherwise, a perfectly adequate movie that I was happy I could have a date night with my wife seeing it.
Well, I also got a perfectly adequate movie, and I'll be real quick because I don't really need to go that much into it. But I saw Elevation, the Anthony Mackie, what's her name? Marina Baccarin?
Yeah, sure. The chick from Firefly.
Exactly. Deadpool. And V.
Homeland.
Wait, was she in Homeland?
Yeah, she was the main guy's wife.
Oh.
She wasn't on it super long.
Oh, yeah. So Elevation, there's monsters, and they fucked up humanity within like a day. You can't kill them with bullets, nothing stops them, and they can smell our carbon dioxide that we breathe, so when you run, they can track you even easier. They're super fast, they're big dinosaur things with scorpion tails, and they kind of look like stink bugs, but bigger, and I don't know. They're not that interesting looking, but they can't go over 8,000 feet for some reason. So all of humanity has, or the humanity that survived, it takes place in Colorado, sucks to be anyone in Nebraska. You're done for. And even like you're in New York, I'll get on top of this Empire State Building. No, that's only 1,000 feet in the air. So yeah, you need 8 of those to avoid these guys. So Colorado, everyone has moved up, and they all put little lines where this is the limit, and they will stop like right there. Anywho,
so is it like are there multiple factions of people? So that like the beacons are lit on.
They do have like a pirate flag thing at the end once they figure out how to take them down.
Well, they're already down.
Actually, yeah, technically they were in holes in the ground. They didn't come from space. They came from inside the earth.
Okay, ancient dinosaurs.
Got it. And so Anthony Mackie's kid, he has a breathing problem. They're running out of filters. They got to go into town. It's super close, and if we cut through this mine, we only have to go below elevation like 2 times. I think we could handle it. And
real quick, sorry.
Yeah.
How long from the initial invasion or whatever to like the point in the movie where I want to
say like 4 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And Anthony Mackie's wife died on a mission with Marina Baccarin.
Okay.
I always want to call her Monica. Have a normal name, lady. Because she's a scientist, and now she's kind of a drunk. She's pissed off because she's gotten people killed, but she can't figure out how to kill these things. She's doing all these things to bullets they have like a scale of one of these things to try to pierce it. Can't do it. But she has something in her lab that she thinks will help. And so they team up together to go and do the thing. And then they do. Some people die along the way. It's not all that interesting, but it's not incompetent in any ways. Then they figure out. Okay, one thing. There's 2 questions that this movie asks: what are these creatures, and why can't they go above 8,000 feet? They answer.
Can you give me a clue that I can guess? Like, is it?
They
obvious?
answer one of them.
Okay.
They don't answer the other. These creatures are robots. They figure out a way to charge the bullets, and it causes them to explode. And they're like, robots? But from where? And then at the end, when you're seeing them, like, it's a panning shot over people destroying all these monsters across the mountains. They go, we still don't know why they can't go over 8,000 feet, but we're gonna figure it out. Like a sequel bait thing? Like, that's your biggest question of this movie, is why can't they go over that? And you don't even answer it? That's kind of bullshit.
I'm blown away. I wouldn't have guessed
robots. Yeah. And it's like they came from the ground, but like, are they being controlled from people, and they just are pretending they came from the ground so people think they are monsters? If they can't go up too high because the signal gets lost, like if it was they can't go below a certain elevation because they got to be closer to satellites or something, I can maybe get that, but I don't know. Is it aliens controlling the robots? No idea. They do not answer that question.
This movie sounds fucking stupid.
It's not bad. It's a fine creature feature of watching people get killed. Not a lot of people get killed.
Would you say it's on par with like the Tomorrow War? Better than, less than?
Tomorrow War is almost dumber.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Tomorrow War is dumber, but at least that has better action, better monsters. But it is like that, you know. Is A Quiet Place kind of started this trend of like monsters with a hook, you know. You can't see them, can't smell them, can't bird box them, you know, all that sort of thing. You know, so this is just another one of those monsters, but you know, height. But it's better than Monsters and Time Travel. I don't even remember that movie all that much.
Okay.
But should you see it in theaters? Not unless it's free. Use that Regal Pass. That was longer than I wanted to go. So, what else you got? You got a video game, right?
Yeah. I don't remember if I've brought it up before on here. Probably in some small regard, like, oh, I'm playing this, but
Sure.
haven't completed it.
I mean, you don't even remember what we did on the last podcast.
Exactly. So, but anyway, if this is your first podcast, me and my wife played Tunic. Tunic is a cute, colorful game that looks like it'd be sort of more of a children's game. The gameplay is kind of similar to the Switch Legend of Zelda.
Breath of the Wild?
No.
Tears of the Kingdom?
No, it's like it was a remake of an older one that was like on the...
Like it was a handheld game?
Yeah, and I played it too. Where there's like a giant egg on top of a mountain, and...
You're asking the wrong guy when it comes to Legend of Zelda.
Anyway, so it's just like a cute like fox guy, and you get a sword, and you just travel around this like magical world and fight monsters.
Is it top down or side scrolling?
Yeah, top down.
Okay.
And it's really clever in terms of like you can meet people, but the dialogue is like hieroglyphics, and sometimes it'll just be like one or two words in English, and you're like, what the fuck does that mean? It's very mysterious. You have to really explore, and you can like be in one area, and you have to like kind of ride the wall, and then like you can see your character move. Like, oh, okay, there's a hidden path back here, and sometimes you'll go do a thing in this whole area, and then you'll find another spot, and then that path will lead you back to that area, and like, oh, I could have like found this thing.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you find things on accident, and sometimes you find things later that you're like, oh, I could have been through here 4 hours ago had I known this like secret path was here. The combat's not all that exciting. It's kind of like hack and slash with the sword, but there is a bunch of fun sort of items you can use. But you also don't necessarily want to waste them. Like you have bombs and you can like buy more, but you also want to save your money because you have to pay money to upgrade your stats. But it's just this, it doesn't hold your hand. It's kind of actually a little bit of a hard game. Although it looks cute and adorable, it's not, because it's kind of a pain in the ass because you're not quite sure where to go. We've definitely had to like go online, like what the fuck do we do now?
Yeah.
And as you explore, you can find these manual pages that kind of like tell you how to play the game, but also give you like clues like, oh, here's a map of the area you're in, or like on the map, like, oh, it's saying it has a circle around this. What does that mean? And so you're kind of unraveling not only what the game is about, but how to play the game with like this instruction manual thing. And ultimately, it's just to like, you got to collect these stones to open up this portal or whatever, so you can collect these things to ultimately defeat this. The air is this main, like, it kind of looks just like
like with an H?
With an H, yeah.
Okay.
But kind of looks like it might be made of air. It's more like a ghost, really, of like this tall fox with a big ass sword. And it's really fun. And it won't take you. It's not like a 40-hour game or anything. You can probably beat it in like 10 or whatever. But it's taken me and my wife months because we only play it sporadically and when we're in the mood to just do something fun together. But I'm showing like her. She's not much of a gamer, so I'm helping her do her thing. And if she like gets up against the boss she can't beat, then I'll take over and fight or whatever. But I recommend it. It was a free game, I think, or maybe it was like $2 or something. Whatever. Point is, it was a good time. I recommend it if you're looking for something cute and fun and different, but also challenging. And The ending is kind of a surprise. I found out there's 2 endings. Most people will get the bad ending, I think, because the game's kind of designed for you to get the bad ending. But if you like do as much as possible and you get this one thing, I'll just say because you're not gonna fucking play
I'm
this
not going to
game.
buy it.
So the manual pages that you find, if you collect all the pages, you get to the final guy. He doesn't fight you. He's just like, you're worthy of, challenging me, or you're worthy, so I don't need to defeat you in combat. And you guys just like hang out peacefully, and the game ends. But if you like just kind of do the bare minimum and get to the end of the game, and you haven't collected all the pages, you fight this guy, and then you defeat him, and then you actually take his place as like this guardian of this thing. So you kind of are imprisoned in this thing, and the history repeats itself. So now you're here until someone else defeats you and releases you. And it's just like, oh, so you go through all this trouble to get to the end of the game, and now it's like you beat the game, but you still kind of fucking lost.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Kind of familiar to something I played. I mentioned it a long time ago, but Little Nightmares 2 was a free game forever, and I was playing it, and I was getting through it, and then I just stopped for whatever reason. And then I remembered it last night. I'm like, oh, yeah, I should get back to that. So I played an hour last night and maybe a half hour this morning, and I beat it. I didn't realize I was so close to the end.
How many hours did you put into it?
I did not look, but it couldn't be more than a 5-hour game.
Yeah.
It's good. I don't know if it's grosser than the first one, because the first one had a lot of gross characters, a lot of fat, disgusting things crawling after you. This has more scary, skeletal, haunting things coming after you, but the world itself may be more disgusting. Like, you're inside this room of meat, and then like an eyeball just opens up in the background, just looking at you.
Yeah.
You know, it's very similar to the other one, except now you have a little buddy. You have a partner with you who can, like, maybe they make a jump and you can't make it, so they'll catch you and pull you up. They could boost you up to do things, but this little fucker is always getting captured. I mean, it's part of the game, you know. Like, if you're in a section where you both have to outrun something, he's so much faster than you. But in other times, snatched up so easy, and I got to go rescue his ass. Couple of new gaming mechanics. You could actually attack in this, but it's only with certain things. Like, there'll be an axe on the ground, and you can pick it up and chop through a door, or maybe there's these little doll guys that are so annoying. But because they like stop to like run at you, and you got to time your axe because you're very slow at it, so you hit them right at the right time, or you'll just dig into the ground. So they do add some combat, that you eventually get like a TV remote, and you could like teleport through these TVs. So that adds some puzzle elements. I am very bad at this game, and I feel like an idiot because it's not an incredibly hard game, but there were so many times I would just get into a room, die about 4 times before I figured out what I'm supposed to do. Then I beat it, or I spend a half hour in a room going, what the fuck am I supposed to do? And then I look up and it says, oh yeah, there's a dresser in the back. It's on wheels. Pull it out and you could climb on top of it. And like, that thing's not just background? God damn it. So I found myself holding down the R trigger.
They just didn't paint like
there's no yellow.
There's no yellow paint.
There's no indicators.
Or a light that just conspicuously hanging over something.
Exactly. So there are times I'll have like the grab button pressed, so I'm walking around and hopefully I will just grab onto something. Are you gonna play it? Because I wouldn't mind spoiling it for you.
I downloaded it and I did enjoy the first one, but you can spoil it. Okay. I mean,
these things that really don't have stories or characters.
But like, it seems like the kind of game that it's not like if it was Inside or Limbo, I'd be like, don't. Yeah,
because in the first one, it was like I climb the stairs and I send, and I'm out of here.
You escape the giant whale restaurant that bad guys are in, because in this world, these chubby guys eat little people. Yeah, and that's kind of the story. That's it. But
so in this one, like, you still have weird big people eating you. But there's like this tall, skinny, Slenderman-esque guy with a hat. I was just calling him the Hat Man, who would chase you through TVs and, just do the typical thing. Like he comes out of the TV and then Ian appears and you get like psychic powers. Not that you can use at any time, but on these kind of like cutscenes and you blow them away. And you get free of the Hat Man. You finally rescue your friend who's been kidnapped like the third time. You fight like a big demon version of him. And then you win, but then everything's like that meat I was talking about is like chasing after you and collapsing around you and bursting through the floor. So you got to run, and you're running, and he makes the jump, and then you jump, and he grabs you, and you're just dangling there, and he decides to let you go. This little fucker that I've saved countless times sacrifices me because... maybe he would fall too or whatever, but he lets me die. And I fall into this big pile of meat and I go sit on a chair and it shows like the passage of time and I like grow up and I become like the new Hat Man or that Hat Man that was chasing me. That maybe it's a time loop thing. I'm not sure, but it's like he fucking let me die and I turned into a monster. The end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it was a good time. Some of the puzzles can be pretty frustrating, but aesthetically, it's great. I loved it. I love these games.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not about great gameplay or interesting stories. Sometimes it's just about the vibe and the journey along the way.
Hell yeah.
So I'm glad that we can enjoy different games of different genres and different play styles.
Hell yeah.
Sometimes, like, when you play so many Last of Us, Spider-Mans, Arkhams, Uncharted, you're kind of like... I just want to play something simple and dumb.
Yeah.
In the best way. Yeah.
I know Halloween's done. Just talked about a spooky game. I want to talk about a spooky book.
Okay.
It was forever ago. I follow a couple people on TikTok who recommend horror books. Some of them aren't really my thing. Others are just like, how gross can we be? But there was one that just kind of sounded interesting. So I pull up my Libby app and it's available. There's 2 copies, and I'm like 96th in line.
To be clear, it's an audiobook.
It's an audiobook. Yeah, I mean, it's a physical book, but there's an audio version of it.
If you're on Libby, it's not physical.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh, I'm going to be waiting months and months for this. So I was like, whatever. I'll forget about it. And then just so happened during October, it kind of popped up. Perfect timing to read a scary story.
There you go.
It's called The Troop by Nick Cutter.
Awesome horror name.
Yeah. Yep.
Sweet.
It's like, and also a Nick, like with a K. It's just
that's got to be a fake name.
It probably. Yeah. Oh, I write horror books and I got Cutter for the last name. Yeah. It's called The Troop. It's about 5 Boy Scouts and their scout leader. It's in Canada. They go away to one of these little islands for a weekend of merit badge.
Craig Davidson's his name.
That's not so scary.
Yeah.
They go away to earn merit badges and camp and do things. And it's their first night there.
And hilarity ensues. They have a good time and nothing bad happens?
Nothing bad happens. They all got all the badges. They got their arrowhead arrow shooting light? I can't remember. Boy Scouts was decades ago.
You were in the Boy Scouts?
I was, yeah. I didn't go super far.
Yeah, me neither. I think I did it for a year or 2.
Yeah, I think my dad
was a Cub Scout.
I was a Cub Scout, and I got into Boy Scouts, and I was like, nah.
Yeah.
This is gay. That's what I said to my dad to his face. I said, the things you liked as a kid is gay, Dad. No, I think
and then I went in my room and blew my boyfriend.
I feel bad for my dad because I know he had such a good time with Scouts. He really should have just become a Scout leader. Mm-hmm. That should have been his passion. But he didn't. Don't know why. But I know he was disappointed. It was like, once again, my son doesn't like sports. My son doesn't want to do the yard work with me. Doesn't want to do, Scouts. Fuck this kid. I bet is what my dad was saying. Why am I working so hard to make this kid's life easy? Thanks, Dad.
Let him sit in his room and enjoy his X-Men's.
Hell yeah, my Nintendo. Hey, some of my fondest memories, it's really sad, is my dad coming home from work and like, hey, I stopped at the store and I picked up a couple of video games. And like, oh, really? And he picked up like the original Ninja Turtles game. I'm like, fuck yeah. Little did I know how hard that game is. And then like 1917, like a World War II top-down airplane shooter thing. What's that?
It's a great movie, 1917. Sam Mendes.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, as a relatively new dad, that's a beautiful story of a father trying to connect with his son, and when he fails, he tries
to adapt, and like
it's your dad sounds like a good man.
Oh, absolutely. I remember one time we did yard work, and it was a hard one because anytime my dad was home for the weekend meant we had to do yard work, and I don't like doing yard work. It sucked. But sometimes my dad was away on business trips. And he never asked me to do yard work on my own. It was like his bonding time with me. And then
This is gonna make me cry.
So a couple of weeks went by, and the grass is huge, like really tall, and it's gonna take like one that you do one strip, you got to empty the bag, and then you're gonna have to go over it multiple times. It was gonna be an all day thing.
You should got one of those like long scythes.
I wish,
because I've seen some like real satisfying videos of people.
Hell yeah.
Cutting down grass.
So like we do it, and one of our things was get Slurpees at 7-Eleven, and then just like sit in the garage and just enjoy each other's company. And then one day after a Slurpee, he was like, let's go to Kmart. And he's like, go look at the video games. I'm going to go get the stuff we need. And I'm just looking at all the things I'm never going to have. And he comes back like, if you had one of these right now, which one it would be? And I was like, oh, that's actually a good question, Dad. Not thinking he's going to buy me it. Like, he just really wants to know. Like, well, there's this new thing called a Game Genie that came out that lets you have like cheat codes for other games and stuff. I'd really like that, but I only have a couple of games, so it really wouldn't be worth it. And Mega Man 4 just came out, so I think I'd probably go with Mega Man 4. And like, all right, let's pick it up. And my dad just dropping $40 on a Nintendo game was mind-blowing to me. And it was just like a really, really nice moment.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad.
I don't know why. That's all right. Anyway.
But then I also have really bad moments. Like, you want to hear something that makes me cringe?
No. I don't like cringe.
I know. I hate it. So me and my younger sister were watching Saturday morning cartoons.
I just said no. No, just go ahead.
And like if my dad was home on the weekend, we were doing yard work or there's going to be sports on or whatever, and we would let him have the TV whenever. So
his house, he pays for everything.
Absolutely, yeah. And so we're watching stuff, and then Dad comes in the living room. We instantly stand up and walk out, and he goes, "Oh, what? Now that Dad's here, the fun's over." And it just made me go like, "Fuck, that was really rude." Like, but we were just like, "Okay, you are going to want to watch NASCAR. We're not going to watch that, so the TV's yours." We weren't thinking of the optics of it.
Yeah,
and I think about it year after year of just like that was.
Not
wasn't
cool. As cringy as I thought, but yeah. I get that.
And I slapped him in the face with my video camera like Bam Margera. Anywho, I was reading a book called The Troop by Nick Cutter.
Yeah.
Boy Scouts
Craig
on
Davidson.
an island. Craig Davidson, yeah. And so they're just enjoying their first night, and someone arrives on the island, and it's this extremely emaciated guy, but is like, that kind of emaciated where you're a walking skeleton, but you still got a gut.
Yeah.
And he's just skinny everywhere.
No. Wait. So sorry if you said. So the island that they're on, is it just like a very small?
It's small island. Yeah, just like up in Canada, there's tons of really tiny islands.
So they're like not there at a lodge. It's just like here.
There is a cabin that they're staying at, but there's nothing else on this island.
Okay.
Yeah. But so he just arrives on this boat, and he's this just ghoul of a man, and the scout leader is the local town doctor. And so his instinct kicks in. I gotta help this guy. And the dude's just like, please give me some food. And he's just like aimlessly like picking up dirt and putting it in his mouth and like pond scum and rock moss. And the guy's like, dude, you don't need to eat that. I got food for you. Brings him in. The ghoul like when the scout leader goes to like call help on the radio, he gets up and just like no and smashes it and is freaking out, and he has to like kind of tie this guy up, and all the kids are like, what the fuck's going on? And like there's this guy, he's sick, I don't know what's going on. And
is it a vampire?
It's not a vampire.
Okay.
But kinda.
Okay.
so he knows there's something wrong with him. He could feel things moving underneath his skin, and so he enlists the help of one of the kids because he's like, nerves are shot. I need someone to help me here, and they are trying to not do an autopsy, but try to do surgery. They're like, there's something wrong with this guy, and we got to get in there, but he's just all skin and bones.
So, one more, sorry. Is the viewpoint character the troop leader, or does it bounce between characters?
In the beginning, it's the troop leader, and then once he dies, it's each kid gets their own sort of. You learn all about all 5 of them.
Okay.
And so they're cutting him open, and there's a giant fucking worm inside this guy that's just like a tapeworm or any sort of parasitic thing that is just eating everything away. Like the guy had no cartilage, there was barely any blood. He doesn't know how this guy is even alive, and this worm is so big it like wraps around the dude's neck and like cracks his neck. And
the guy that is
infested, yeah. And so like, okay, we got to get out, but the worm has now like spread his little eggs and his like the man coughed up stuff and it got on the dude. So now the camp leader is like, I think I'm infected. Kids, you can't be in here. You're sleeping outside. And then they like lock him in the closet. And within like minutes, he's already like, I'm so fucking hungry. I could just eat. And he's eating the wallpaper off the inside of the closet because he can't help himself. Because these worms are just so ravenous and instantly infiltrate you. So then the rest of the story is after a tree falls and kills the camp counselor that the kids locked him into, they each start getting infected one by one. And, you got your typical archetypes. You have like the tall, angry one who's kind of like the leader. Everybody likes him, but he's got an anger problem. Then you got the asshole kid whose dad is a cop, and nobody fucks with because he fucks with everyone. And you don't mess with him because my dad's a cop, And then you got the fat kid who's the nerd. He knows all the stuff. You have the kind of the average normal Joe kid. His name is Max. And then you have the psychopath, the one he's a closet sociopath, and like he's torturing bugs. There's a chapter where he talks about him drowning a kitten. That's just so incredibly graphic. The best thing about this book is how good this dude is at describing touch and smell. Like the worms create a smell that's like sickly sweet, like rotting fruit, and talking about how it smells like the bottom of a trash can at a amusement park that's like filled with juice that's been in the sun. Us working at a movie theater, you know what a stinky trash can smells like. And just like touching this guy's body was like a tarp filled with bricks, and just like he's so good at making you feel it and smell it that I had this stank face on the whole time I'm listening to the book, because the first couple of chapters are some of the grossest things I've read, and it's just all description of like what phlegm looks like. It's so fucking nasty, but great read. And I thought it was just gonna be something this guy picked up, but it's actually like a genetically modified thing. Like doctors trying to make a pill for weight loss, and it goes a little extreme.
It's an Ozempic monster.
Exactly. Right. And then once this guy was the test subject gets out, now the government, like the kids can see like government ships surrounding the island that are far off, and someone even comes on a speedboat to try to save them. They blow that fucker out of the water because they're like, nope, sorry, we got to let these kids die. It's a quarantine. Sorry. So it's pretty gnarly stuff, and the descriptions of.
So they couldn't even I guess if they don't want to touch it, I was gonna say like, can't they just Captain Phillips like get snipers from like the tank the ship to just like snipe these kids in the head so they don't have to suffer and be eaten?
Yeah, and that they do talk about it like nothing in, nothing out. It's only these 5 boys. That's a better risk than getting everybody infected with this thing. So. But I won't spoil the very end. If you may want to read a very disgusting book, I highly recommend it.
Evens, I read it. Odds, you tell me the end.
Okay.
9. Tell me how it ends.
Okay, so it's the normal kid and the fat nerdy kid.
The others have died.
The others have died. Like one, the cop's son, he gets it pretty early, and they they put him down in the cellar, and the psychopath is like fucking with this kid, like, oh, the military's here and they dropped us a bunch of food. We got steaks and Doritos. And so he's like giving him like bugs to eat. And then he goes back in the cabin and finds the big worm that like it got cut. And so it's dead, and feeds him this disgusting worm, and he just eats it up. Like the people are like eating their fingers off because they're so hungry. And he gets like drowned. The psychopath drowns him. The loudmouth kind of leader guy, he believes, I'm not 100% sure if he actually was infected or if just seeing the other kid get infected fucked with his brain, and then the psychopath is toying with him. Mm-hmm. And so he's like cutting into his skin, trying to pull out worms that he can't quite grab, and is then by the end is begging the psychopath, like, we got to do something. Like, well, the only way we could do it is to burn him out. And he's like, yeah, excellent, and just lights himself on fire. One of them. Oh, and then then the psychopath, he gets infected, and he like kind of relishes in it, like it's disgusting. He knows it, but he's loving it. He turns into a horrible gangly monster in the basement. That's like his guts spill out everywhere. Gets on the nerdy kids. So the nerdy kid's infected. They are able to find the spark plugs to the boat, and they go out into the ocean, and they're like, we're not infected, we're fine. And the nerdy kid's like, please help us, I'm so hungry. And then that's like a trigger word for all the people, and they snipe him right through the throat, I believe, and kill him. The kid Max never got infected. They put him in quarantine, did all these things, had a clean bill of health, but he was never able to shake the stigma. Everybody was just calling him Worm Boy, never was able to have friends or any sort of relationships again.
Oh, so the world knew about this
eventually.
Oh, okay.
Once, by the time he got cleared, everybody knew what happened. And there's a little subplot of like them interviewing the doctor, and the doctor's like, we're just trying to make a diet pill. That's all we were doing. Like, well, actually, the guy that you were working with, he was actually working with this one general and maybe trying to make this a bioweapon for war. So, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. Good stuff. Love that shit. Wait, you rolled a 9? You rolled a 9 earlier.
Look at that.
What the? Okay, weird.
If it happens a third time, I'm God. 18.
I rolled 18. Okay, put it down. That's too much power. What the hell? That's so weird. Okay.
The number 23.
Do you have anything else?
If I do, I don't remember.
Okay.
So I'll save it for next time if I
do.
Oh, well, we usually do a trailer segment at the beginning, but
sure.
Did you watch the new Brazilian Comic-Con Captain America trailer?
I did not. No, I saw there was a new Thunderbolts trailer.
Yeah, I think Thunderbolts came out first, but the Captain America one's out now. I watched it while I was waiting for you.
Oh, okay.
It looks solid. Okay. I think I've said it before. They do trailers very, very well.
Yep.
And I mean, the Captain America movies, I think, are pretty much all my favorite Marvel movies.
Yep.
I feel like it fits pretty well within that, but this time there's like a Hulk here.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the Secret Invasion trailer looked good, and I didn't watch that. And you said it was garbage.
Absolute shit.
And obviously, there's been a lot of talk about like reshoots on this. And
like talking to Blake T. Nelson. No, that's Craig T. Nelson. What's his name? He plays the leader in it.
Nelson Blake.
Is it Blake Nelson? I think it may just be Blake Nelson.
But I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, brother, we're out there.
Yes, exactly. People were asking him, and he's like, yeah, we shot it, and then I went away, and then I had to come back, and I pretty much shot it all over again. Like, they've shot like 80% of this because of poor screen testing. It's costing $300 million to make this. It has to be like $1 billion movie in order to break even. Like, I don't know how they could get so far along in the writing process and in shooting to go, this is not working.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
I also wonder, in the age of the internet and stuff, like, it's popular now to shit on Marvel.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and I will agree that there is a dip in quality, but I think the idea is just like, they've made a couple stinkers, so now it's just like, hey, and it got too big, so like now it's just cool to hate it.
Yep.
So that's part of it. But also, I remember Kevin Smith talking about like poor test screenings and stuff. It's like, well, they'll bring in random people or whatever, do a test screening, and they'll say this doesn't work, and so you go back and you reshoot or re-edit or whatever, and then they come back, and now it's a different group.
Yeah.
It could all have different problems with it this
Exactly.
time. And so then you just do it again. It's like, but you need to bring back those original people. So I wonder if the process is still the same or if it's evolved over the years.
I don't know.
Because that was, when Kevin Smith was doing it, was like 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah. You know, it'd be a great job. Professional screen test guy.
You'd be the best at it.
I would love that.
You would have notes on everything.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Were there any other trailers you want to bring up?
No.
Because this is a good segue into my next topic.
Go for it.
Speaking of really expensive Marvel things that everyone shits on and flops, not that.
Okay.
Agatha All Along. One of the cheapest things they've ever made. Only cost $40 million compared to, say, I just saw like it was $180 million to do not either Ahsoka or the last one, whatever dumb Star Wars thing it was. What was that one called? The Acolyte.
Acolyte, yeah.
Like $180 for it. This cost $40 million. And I don't want to say, oh, you can tell, but it's because it's all practical sex. Practical sex. Holy shit.
I don't think you watch Agatha All.
Agatha on this dong.
Agatha All Schlong.
Yeah, there we go. It's like, because it's all sets. There is some CG, but it's like light magic wizard stuff. So yeah, it's one of the better looking ones because it's cohesive and you're not constant. There is one scene of them flying on like brooms. Well, they're just sticks, but they're flying through the air, and that looks a little dodgy, but whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I mentioned it a couple episodes ago that it may be one of the best Marvel things, TV shows, and may even be better than the Penguin. I don't know. We'll save it until Penguin is done because Penguin is very, very good. It's just, if you took all those characters, renamed them, don't call it Gotham, it could be any other crime show.
Sure.
This is very much its own thing. It could only exist because WandaVision happened, Doctor Strange 2 happened. You couldn't repackage this in any other way. And they nailed it. They fucking killed it. Every episode gets better and better and better. And then the finale is definitely like a wrap-up of things, but it's a flashback to Agatha's story and what happened to her son, Nicholas Scratch, and why she killed covens of witches and things. And it's a show that sets up a whole bunch of little things that you think are just either silly jokes or inconsequential, but by the time you get to the end, it ties everything up. So I really would like to do a rewatch of it because there are just tiny little elements from previous episodes that play much bigger parts in final episodes. Every character is fun, and everyone is cast well. Maybe they don't always get as much time to shine as everybody else, but Catherine Hahn is the best. She is just so
She's great in everything.
Damn good. She does comedy. She knows how to get sad and be believable. She knows how to get incredibly angry. She's so good in this role. And Aubrey Plaza is kind of doing her Aubrey Plaza thing,
sure,
but she's also really good. The young boy, he's only known as Teen through the whole thing until you find out who he is. He's Billy Maximoff. He's Wanda's son, but he's not the same one. It's a whole thing.
Okay.
But it truly is one of the best Marvel TV shows they've ever done. And I made a list of all the Marvel TV shows, ranking them.
Okay, let's hit it.
So, number 1 is X-Men 97. I don't know if you could really count it, because it's not really in canon or anything yet, but it is a Marvel TV show.
We'll put that...
little asterisk next to it.
So it's not 1, it's just asterisk. Special...
Number 1, WandaVision. I still think, even though Agatha All Along is more consistent throughout, and WandaVision, that last episode, kind of devolves into the same old shit.
Yeah.
The filmmaking of it all it's so clever. It's very funny, and
also Catherine Hahn.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have Agatha All Along without this. Number 2, Agatha All Along, absolutely. Then Loki, Hawkeye, She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Echo, What If, Miss Marvel, then Secret Invasion.
Jesus Christ.
But that's a lot. That's a lot of TV.
That is a shocking amount of TV.
And I almost kind of forgot it. I was like, oh yeah, Miss Marvel was a thing. Oh yeah, Secret Invasion was a thing.
Because WandaVision was 2020. So it's just been 4 years.
4 years.
And that's, what, 10 shows?
12.
12? And only one of them's animated?
And one of them's and that has 2 seasons. So...
Oh, What If?
What If? Yeah,
I was thinking of X-Men, but that's right.
Oh yeah, X-Men's animated as well. But
that's crazy.
And then I think there's 6 or 8 more shows next year. But I think it's only 3 movies. But it's a lot of TV.
The only thing I want to see is Daredevil.
Yeah, we got Daredevil, Ironheart, Eyes of Wakanda.
Don't care.
There's a Spider-Man animated thing.
I could maybe check that out.
I think it's like young, early Spider-Man.
Yeah. I mean, Spider-Man's always technically supposed to be young.
Another What If season and Wonder Man. So.
Oh yeah, I don't know what Wonder Man is.
I
like that actor.
Yeah. Dr. Manhattan.
Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
No, that's Yahya Abdul Mateen. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it is. Yeah. He is like an actor, and I'm not sure if he's a man who's going out for the role of a fake superhero named Wonder Man who then gets powers, or he's a man with powers who's auditioning for a superhero show, and because he has powers, it like helps. But
okay,
remember Trevor Slattery from Iron Man 3? He's going to be in it because he was an actor. Sure. So I'm interested in it because it's a character that I don't think a lot of people care or know about, or they would just go, Wonder Man, isn't that just stealing from Wonder Woman? So, I don't know. It'll be interesting. That's not till December, though. So,
you can tell me about all of these when they premiere, because I probably won't want to watch any of them, except maybe Daredevil.
Oh, yeah, and Daredevil. I also saw Anora. It's good. I liked it, but it's not as great as I was hoping it would be.
Okay.
Half of it, first half's Pretty Woman, second half is Uncut Gems. I thought it was going to go bigger.
Gems. Sorry, you can cut that. But
what?
You don't remember that? What is it? A meme where the woman who was the girlfriend in Uncut Gems, she just said it weird, and the internet blew up about it.
Really? No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, she was on some podcast, and I'm not doing the impression justice or whatever, but she was just like, oh yeah, and then I was working with the Safdies, and they cast me in Uncut Gems, and she said it so weird, and then everyone just started roasting her. You don't remember that?
No, I do.
I don't. I just assume you know all the internet stuff because.
I do usually.
Do. Okay. Well, anyway, around all that,
but I don't really want to get into it because I don't want to spoil it. I think you should see it.
I do want to see it. Of all the stuff this year, it's one of the few things I'm kind of excited about because I've heard it's so good.
Yeah,
but
it's a little long. It's 2 hours 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. Didn't need to be.
Have you seen? Sean Baker's other work?
No, I mean,
the only one I've seen of his is Tangerine, which is his first thing.
Yeah, and then he did Florida Project and then Red Rocket.
Yeah,
I hear Red Rocket is very good.
Yeah, I want to see Red Rocket. Florida Project, I would see, but it's one of those movies I'd have to if TV still existed and I was just flipping through, I was like, oh, okay, Florida Project
just started. Yeah,
I'll check it out.
Yeah,
but to actively just press play on it, I don't want to.
I just have a feeling it's going to be gross and make me feel bad. But those two, Tangerine and Florida Project, are on streaming. Red Rocket is not. And that's the one I want to see. But I look forward to watching the other stuff because I enjoyed this. I think she'll definitely be up for Best Actress. Will she win? Maybe. Will this be up for Best Picture? Maybe. Will it win? Nah, probably not.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Let's get to the main topic because we're already long.
Yeah,
we're it's like an hour already. Oh, I don't want to edit this. But
there's not too much dead. It will be fine.
It's true.
And who knows? Maybe we'll talk about this for 15 minutes.
Yeah, because our main topic is Heretic.
Sorry.
Were you going to say Heretic? Because
just to fuck with you.
I've seen so many people review this online, and they call it Heretic. Now, if you've never heard this word spoken before, fine. They don't say it in the movie. But come on. Don't be so confident in your in your mispronunciation. So Heretic is directed by, I think it's Beck and Woods, like last names are Beck and Woods, is two guys who write and direct with each other. They've done a bunch of other things. Unfortunately, the last thing they did was 65, which is kind of shocking. The dinosaur movie.
This is them?
This is them, yeah.
Wow.
They have other stuff that's good.
About 65.
But yeah, they did do 65.
Oof.
This stars Hugh Grant as a man who traps two women in his house to rant.
Question their faith.
Exactly. Two Mormon girls show up and are kind of duped into coming in against their will. There's a storm a coming, but can't be around men by themselves. And then it's just 2 hours of theological
horror.
Yeah, theological discussions, and him just kind of going on these huge monologues of like why you shouldn't believe what you do, well, without being too judgy about it. He's never like in their face saying you're dumb, you're stupid, like I would be doing.
Yeah, he's the most pleasant, creepy guy I've ever seen.
Yeah.
In terms of just like, I know this is bad. All signs point to this is bad. We're going to get murdered. Mm-hmm. This guy's a psycho, but at the same time, he's so...
like he's having a good time with it. He's like making jokes. And
he's so... What's the word I'm looking for? Charismatic and charming about it all. That like, even though he's like basically telling me I'm a fucking idiot, I'm not quite sure if he's actually trying to kill me or if he's just a weirdo.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that we've seen in other movies, even like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo remake about you're in danger, but you don't want to be rude.
Yeah.
So you just kind of smile and go along with it. And these two girls are like excellent performances because you could just see how nervous they are, but how nice they're trying to be, and just the creeping fear that slowly is overtaking them. And even when it's like everything's laid out on the line of this, I'm going to make you go through some bad shit. One of them even says like, thank you for, being a gracious host and letting us leave.
Yeah. This movie has some parts that are like kind of unintentionally funny.
Yeah. I wouldn't even say unintentionally, but
well, sure.
Yeah. Just funny, but
moments that probably should be funny, but are.
Yeah. So Steve, what'd you think of Heretic?
I wasn't sure what I was going to get into with this. I'm not a big horror guy, but you slap enough good marketing that says like some of the best horror this year, and like if I see good reviews, I'm like, all right.
And you go, A24, they kind of do kill it.
I think a lot of people are gonna not like this movie, but this movie is fucking sweet.
Yeah.
They're not gonna like it because it's marketed as a horror movie, and it's really not scary. There's no like.
There's impending dread for sure.
There's scary moments, but there's not a lot of like. There's next to no jump scares.
No. They actually have like the almost opposite. Like when they're going down that first hallway and there's a body standing there, it's like this
great shot.
Slow reveal. Mm-hmm. And when the woman is behind Sister Paxton, slow reveal. Like she's there, and it's just a slow reveal. So it's like opposite jump scare.
Yeah. And I also think people are not going to like this movie because it's an hour before we really get to the horror elements to it.
But I think you're so invested by that hour of just like, tell me more.
This easily could work as a one-act stage play. Not a one-act, but
a one-room
stage play. Yeah.
Minimal sets.
And I would totally love to see that because I have never seen... Well, I was going to say I've never seen a horror play, but I've seen... like people do Edgar Allan Poe on stage.
Yeah, but more like modern cool shit. None of that old pussy bullshit.
Well, no, I remember. So just
more like the telltale fart. Sorry, go on.
Well, it was that story.
Oh, okay, cool.
I saw that. It was a school field trip, I think, in middle school. And it was one of those, it was a defining moment for me in terms of like, wow, the power of art. Because we were all relatively, we've all been part of like school plays, but not with like anything with talent. Mm-hmm. And we're all in the audience, we're watching the Telltale Heart play out. And we're like, this isn't really all that scary. But there's a part where a guy like raises a hatchet and he's like, there's a body behind a bed. So you don't see like on the other side of the bed that's like fallen to the floor. So you don't see the body or anything, but you see him raise his hatchet or whatever and comes down, and then he like comes back up and there's blood all over it, and the entire audience went like gasped because we just like I don't know. I guess we were just
Did they kill that guy
just to come back clean. I was like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Just a one little tiny thing.
Yeah.
Like, not scary in the slightest, but it was just like the shock of seeing like blood on the blade.
That's got to be fun to do. Just like, I'm going to lay here with a sponge in my hand. Make sure you come down on the sponge. I'll give it a little squeeze.
I think it was just, I put down the...
Oh, and picked up a completely different one? Oh, okay.
That was my guess.
All right.
But anyway, that was the fun of it. That was the only like horror thing I've seen on stage.
And this would absolutely work for them.
But yeah, the first hour of this movie is just Hugh Grant just monologuing and monologuing and monologuing, and it's fantastic. It's never boring. It's all very interesting. It's laid out very simply because it's taking the big concept of religion and boiling it down to why they're complete bullshit and how how you don't see it, and it dumbs it down to this most simple like analogy of just like, here's Monopoly, and it is this, but it actually started as this, and now we have all these different iterations. Religion. That's the basic premise. But it's just so well done. And honestly, when it gets to horror stuff, I cared a lot less.
Yeah. The third act is probably the weakest act.
Because this movie is a horror movie, and it has very big ideas, and I think the way it's all presented is done very well and simplistically. Like, if you told me you made this movie for $2 million, I'd believe you.
Yeah.
But if you also told me this was like a $45 million movie, I'd also believe you.
Yeah, I can see this probably is in the 15 range.
It's all just bullshit how they spend money. Who knows? Yeah. But this is the kind of movie I talk about on here a lot, where it's just like, give me a movie with a very small cast and one location, and if you can make it interesting for 2 hours, I'll think it's one of the best things ever. And it hit pretty much on all cylinders. Yeah. My only real qualm is, the third act, just because, like, I don't know, I think the discussion was the most interesting part of the movie, and then to just reveal what is revealed at the end, I'm like, okay, I'm not sure if I wanted more supernatural stuff, but that would also like kind of undercut the whole thing. So I'm glad they didn't go that route, but at the same time, like, the entire movie kind of builds to like, well, are we going to get to see a thing? And I guess you kind of do at the end, but that's open for interpretation. But all in all, I think this movie's great, and Hugh Grant's great in it. The two actresses who I don't think I've ever seen anything before, they're great. This is the kind of horror that I'm into. It's either got to be like the super upsetting, unsettling, like Hereditary, like It Follows shit, or just some like big idea. Like, it's not really about the scares; it's more about what I'm trying to say. Like, those are the two things I like.
Yeah, I agree. I really, really enjoyed this movie. I have one little gripe with the thing, and we'll get to it a little bit later. And the ending it makes perfect sense for the movie. I just really thought from the trailers there was going to be multiple rooms. They go down these steps, and depending on what choices they made, it would get them into different conversations, puzzles, things they'd have to reflect on themselves to get through the next stage. Yeah. I didn't think it was leading to just one room where...
You thought you were getting Saw, but really you got The Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Kind of. I don't know if that's the best analogy.
I was thinking more Saw, and it would be like, oh, well, see, I've questioned your faith. Now you're wavering a little bit. Now let's bring up this big theological issue, and where do you stand on it? Now that you have learned this from me, what's gonna be your takeaway for this next problem? And it wasn't that. So spoilers for the end. He pretty much gets people down here, mainly women, and because
turns them into the sloth creature from Seven.
Yeah, kind of. Or like,
was it Sloth?
It was Sloth. Yeah. And then because of your kindness and you're not wanting to fight back and just become sheep like you do in a church, he's able to imprison you and use you as bait for the next group. So he does this little fake out thing of this woman eats a pie and she dies. Check the vital signs. Then a fresh woman from the basement comes out, tosses that body down, and then pretends to be the dead body and wake up and you're alive again. And that's supposed to make them
this
realize,
woman was resurrected.
Yes, there was a miracle that happened. But the only reason they were able to do that was because their preacher or whatever came to the door and distracted him. So they were distracted trying to get the matches. So then this person was able to open up this secret rickety, rusty hatch, dump a body down, close the hatch, put all the mud back. I don't buy that. And if that guy didn't ring the doorbell, what was the plan? How are you going to distract the women so you can do this switcheroo thing? So I don't think that holds up under scrutiny.
Yeah.
But regardless, I like that. That he puts these women through like such heinous conditions. They're living in like a damp cellar. He's constantly spraying them with water. He has air conditionings going on just to keep them cold and sick and dirty. And
very Reek Game of Thrones.
Yes, and
kind of stuff.
So then when he asks for someone to sacrifice themselves to eat a pie that will kill them, they're more than happy to do it to get out of this torment. I thought he was really going to open their eyes so much that they would what's it called?
Denounce?
No. When you are around your captors so long that you Stockholm.
Stockholm.
Yeah. They would develop it, like they would have such mental anguish and breakdown because of his logic that they were like willingly serving him in some way. But I'm glad it wasn't some weird sex thing. You know, as far as we know, you could be fucking those girls in cages. We don't know that.
God, I hope.
It's like it could have been an A+ home run, and it just stumbles a little bit in the end. But I think with the final, from where the trailer makes it, one of our leads, the non-glasses wearing one, seems like the lead of this.
Yeah, this is the part I liked the best.
And then he fucking cuts her throat and she dies. And I was like, there's no way she's dead. And she does come back for a second, but then she does eventually. She actually does die.
Once again, open to interpretation.
What do you mean? Oh, like that she came back?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I just think she had a little bit of life left in her. And
I think the movie kind of presents that way, but we'll get to that at the end.
Okay. But then our secondary, like whenever you watch a horror movie, you go, that's the jock, he's dead. That's the slut, she's dead. You know who's going to live and who's going to die.
From the get-go, she was the one with like, you established early, she kind of had like maybe a troubled past. And so she was like, okay, because she's the damaged one, she's going to be the leader who gets this sweet innocent girl out of it. But it's the sweet innocent girl who like figured it all out.
Yep.
I fucking love that about it.
Love that.
Because like from up until they go down that basement, she just seemed like, I don't want to say dumb, but more naive.
Meek. Because of the conversations we hear about like sex and stuff like that, the whole porno conversation was very funny at the very beginning, that she just is completely naive to the world around her. So you would think she's going to be the one that gets duped into something and dies instantly. But nope.
Yeah. She was great.
Yeah.
I will say that when you first see the prophet come down, very scary.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't really do it. It's just like a woman covered in
rags.
But it's still just very terrifying image, especially from just like, we're two dudes. This is obviously, if we were in this scenario, we'd be very fucking frightened. But to be two women who had to like walk, like get in, and not even just like put in this basement, but like through various stages go like, okay, it's getting scarier and scarier and scarier. Like it just keeps getting worse, and the entire time I can't imagine what anyone like in the scenario goes through. Just awful. I think I would just break down mentally. Like usually, in these horror movies, they decide to rise up and they stab their would-be attacker and they get out and like, haha, I survived. And then maybe you do a sequel and it's like, oh yeah, life has moved on, but now the killer is back. But like, I don't think I'd ever be functional again if I ever had to go through something like this. I would just escape and just be like, I'd be in an insane ward. I don't know if I could be this terrified for this long.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Let's talk. Oh, Topher Grace is in this?
Yeah, was he a producer? Did I miss his name?
He must have been.
I mean, I was kind of this is another thing I would change. Because other than Hugh Grant, which I'm fine, he's the money draw or whatever. I got not that Hugh Grant's a big pull. I just mean like, oh, we need a biggish star to be in this, so there's like a recognizable face. But like, why the fuck is Topher Grace in this?
Yeah,
is he buddies with
that? See, he felt like someone you would put in the trailer and people go, oh, I like Topher Grace.
Yeah,
and then you go, he was in 2 scenes. What the fuck? But
yeah,
did not even know he was in this.
He was almost unrecognizable with the hair and stuff, and with the glasses, like. When he first showed up, I was like, "Oh, is that Topher Grace?" But then and he showed up later. I was like, "Oh, that can't be Topher Grace. He doesn't look like him." And then I was like, "Oh no, that's." Like
and then
Topher
once
Grace.
He talks, it's like, "Yep,
that's
Eric Foreman."
So yeah, I would have recast him with like just a
nobody,
just as a nobody, because it was kind of distracting, especially because you didn't really use him.
Yeah,
but maybe the idea was, oh, we'll get a recognizable face because he'll be the hero in the end.
Yeah,
that might have been the idea.
Sure,
and then he just he doesn't come back. Doesn't help out at all.
Or you think he's gonna die because I was like, oh. He saw their bikes out there. He knows Hugh Grant's lying. And then when he's walking away, like, where the fuck are the bikes? And then it dawned on me, oh, the key was in the wrong pocket. Damn. Okay. It was all part of a plan. He really had to be running fast to get some of this stuff done.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sister.
There's Barnes and Paxton.
Sister Paxton is asked about like fast food, and she does like a tier ranking list of like, this is better than this, which is better than this, which is better than this.
It's such a you thing to do.
Dog shit list. Dog shit. She goes, I don't know if I'll get this right, but she goes, Burger King is better than Hardee's, which is better than Checkers, which is better than In-N-Out, which is better than Wendy's, which is better than McDonald's. I think that was
pretty accurate.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Okay, putting Burger King at the top is nuts. Absolutely.
I like Burger King.
I like Burger King too, but it's not top, and especially over like I think Hardee's and Checkers are better quality than Burger King.
I've never been to an In-N-Out, but everyone.
But In-N-Out,
like In-N-Out is like the burger.
I'm
place.
surprised they didn't start with the In-N-Out because everybody says it's the greatest, and I'm one of the biggest In-N-Out haters. Not because it's gross, because it's just so fucking overrated. And the fact that people line up for 8 hours in drive-through when a new one opens just to get a burger. It's cheap, sure. It's not that expensive, but it's not that good. It's and their fries. Everyone rants about their fries because they're cut in store. They're shit. You have to ask them to like have them well done, so they're like double fried for them to be edible. In-N-Out fucking sucks. So I was very surprised they put that so damn low, but I applaud them for it. But still, Burger King at number 1, ridiculous.
Yeah. I can see how this movie got its budget. Burger King paid big money to be at the top.
But see, I don't think they did, because then the next one says that she thinks, they were trash or something. She makes a pretty rude comment about Burger King. So I don't think they got paid at all for this.
Yeah, well, Paxton represents the producers of the movie, while Barnes is actually down the going for the actual actors. It's
okay.
Like, well, I have to,
but
it does matter.
Did you see trailers for your movie? Did you get there for trailers?
I saw, I think, 2.
Did you see Companion that has Sister Barnes in it with
that was the one I walked in, so I caught the last 30 seconds of that one.
That looks sweet.
Yeah, it looks weird. The only part I remember from the trailer is her hand on
over
fire.
The fire.
Cool image.
Oh yeah. And what's his face from The Boys is as a bad guy.
Oh yeah,
is just
Jack Quaid.
Jack Quaid. Yeah, there's a shot of just like him opening the door, looking all happy, and then just points a gun right at her head. It's very chilling. I'm excited for that to come out. Do you see Mickey 17 got pushed again? That was supposed to come out this year. Then it got pushed to January. Then it got pushed to April. So not too far, but come on.
Well, do you know if it's to do anything with the movie, or just like the market's too stacked, so we got to push it back?
I think if anything, maybe it's really good, and they say, why are we dumping this in January? Let's give it a spring release.
I just figured they dump it in January to be for an Oscar push or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Not from the trailer that I think like that's a movie that's going to win Best Picture.
No,
but that's a movie that could be nominated.
It'll
for
just
things.
be up for next year.
Fair enough. I mean, I'll patiently wait for it because
Yeah.
I love Bong Joon-ho shit.
I like some of his shit. Yeah.
All right. Anyway.
I do want to rewatch The Host. I remember watching it and really, really not liking it. But I like Snowpiercer. I really like Parasite. So
yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen The Host. I don't really remember it all that much. I remember going like, "That's pretty good," but maybe it sucks. Who knows?
Heretic.
Yeah. We're all over the place. So, do you have a favorite? Before we get to kind of like the end stuff, is there anything about the rest of the movie? Like, do you have a favorite scene, or is there?
I mean, I think the Monopoly scene really is going to be kind of the benchmark classic scene from this.
Yeah.
And I can see parodies of like what kind of other things can we use as this is the first, this is the second, this is the silly iteration. I could see that becoming a meme.
Sure. It was part of that scene, but I really liked because you saw this curtain over this
the statue,
the statue figure. But you just thought like, oh, is that a
person,
body or a person just sitting there? It was always lingering in the background of various shots, and you even had Paxton turn around and look at him like, what the fuck is that about?
Yep.
And then it just comes up, and it's just all the pictures of like these different deities. Like here's 12 different gods who were born on December 25th, and who all like have a similar story and all that stuff. And it's just like he presents a very good argument across the board, and you're just like, yeah, this makes sense. Fuck all that noise.
Yeah, this movie was so made for me.
Yeah, but at the same time, the movie does still kind of like let some of that slide with the ending. Like,
what, with the butterfly, or with Barnes getting killed?
Well, like just the Barnes and the butterfly and all that stuff ending. Not that I think the movie is saying like, see, there is a God, but I think it is kind of going like, we don't know, so here's an ending that could be attributed to that. At least that was my interpretation of it.
Because it was Paxton who said she wanted to become a butterfly, so it wouldn't make sense for her to go, oh look, Barnes is here. Barnes didn't say that. To me, if anything, it was she's dying. And because when she looks at her hand again and the butterfly's not there, that this is more of in her head, I'm going to go, this is what I want to be reincarnated as. Which she mentions, do Mormons believe in reincarnation?
I don't know. I think they believe in, well, when they die, they go to their own planet, according to the Book of Mormon musical.
Or was that just like...
I think it's just like, we assume that there's a heaven, and if we go there, hopefully I can come back as a butterfly, so I can visit my family or whatever.
Not that I will come back, but I hope I can come back.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, she figures out that this is all a scheme. There is no supernatural element to it, which I love because it kind of shows it's like, oh, this is the kind of shit of like how people believed in miracles. Like if people just used magic tricks and it just took off, and and it made you
so many wars and deaths.
I saw this thing and it made me a believer in God. It's like, well, I just showed you somebody come back to life, but it was actually just a fake out.
Yeah.
But she figured it out, and the entire movie, he's like, I found the one true religion. It's like, oh, what is it going to be? And I like that she's going through these doors of like
Scientology.
Different, yeah. And then you get to the door with like the pentagram on, and it's like, oh, he's a Satan worshiper.
Yeah.
There is no God, but there is a devil kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm glad they did not go in that way.
But she opens the devil's door and she finds those women, and he's just there. He's just like, yep, so you figured out what all this is. What's the one true religion? And it's like control. Yep. Religion is just about controlling the masses and controlling your ideas and all this stuff. But she stabs him in the neck with that letter opener.
Yeah.
And, you think she's going to get away, but then he, does the classic horror movie villain thing of just like popping up and, even with a knife in his throat, or not in his throat anymore, like stabs her. So this is where the movie is like, we see her die. Barnes gets her throat cut. She's presumably dead. And then at the end of the movie, as he is about to stab her in the neck again after he like kind of snuggles her for a second.
Yeah.
She comes out of nowhere and kills him in a pretty brutal way. And then she dies for real this time.
Was it, what's the gun thing called? Schrodinger's gun?
Chekhov's gun.
Chekhov's gun. Schrodinger's gun. It was like Schrodinger's board with nails in it.
And so the movie makes it seem like she never actually died. She came back, killed him, and Paxton was able to escape. And, happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also a version of this where it's like, did Barnes actually get this last minute burst of strength, just enough to come back and save her? Or was there some sort of like actual not resurrection, but like kind of
divine intervention?
Divine intervention, a miracle. She did come back to save me, and I was able to escape. Or was it when she was praying and bleeding out? Paxton, not Barnes, when she got stabbed, did she actually ever make it out of the house? Did she die there? And this is her brain. This is the science of the brain giving me one last euphoric thing of like I did escape. I was it, or did she actually escape and she died outside? And she died outside because she may or may not have saw that butterfly because it landed, but then it also like disappeared. It's like that was not saying that the movie is saying one ending is the official one, but just saying here's options. Here's options, which kind of falls in line with the whole thing of the movie. Just like,
sure,
something happens and now you could believe whatever you want to believe. Because even though the movie's just like, religion's wrong, there is elements to believe. And I just think the movie's so smart and interesting and effectively creepy and just good performance across the board. I think it's excellent. And they should make more shit like this.
Yeah, Heretic 2. But it'll have to be a prequel. We'll get young Hugh Grant.
Sorry, cut that.
We'll get a young Hugh Grant, and it will be about his travels of learning all the religions and things like that. And then him making this trap and maybe converting someone, like I said, like is so broken because of the revelations, because it becomes his first victim and go like, look, we can wake up all these other ones. You just got to help me. And, maybe over the years, the plan changes. He starts adding rooms, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
You could. I'm not asking for it, but you could.
No, I don't want to see anything. I don't want to see this become a franchise, I don't think. Unless you get like totally different. I mean, I guess you would have to. Get a totally different cast, do a totally different idea, but just call it Heretic 2 because it just has like a religious element to it. But it's so funny that I feel like we talked relatively recently, especially with like the Russell Crowe horror movies. It's like there's so many movies that go the possession, like religious horror route, and they're all kind of the same. We're like, here's one that's like, this is a religious horror, but like we're not really
no poltergeists, no exorcisms.
Yeah, it's a new, interesting way to do that.
Yeah.
And that's exciting.
Yeah. I don't know if you could really do it again, though.
Correct.
What else can you do that isn't just rehashing the same bullet points as this one?
Yeah.
So not a very violent or bloody movie, but there are a couple of things when he gets stabbed in the throat and he's really coughing on it. Like I've seen people stabbed in the throat before and it hasn't bothered me. This one, I don't know. It's like in movies. Yes. Not in my time in Somalia with the Green Berets. Like, I don't know if it was his hacking or the length. I felt it. But I think the worst thing was him digging out her IUD from her arm.
Oh, God.
And just like, oh, is that it? Nope, that's an artery. Put it back in. That was so fucking gross.
Great effect.
Yeah. And I was pretty silent, get a couple of giggles, but that one really got a ooh out of me.
Yeah. Definitely makes your butt clench a little bit.
My penis retracted.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I think... Oh.
Is it going to make your top 10?
Probably.
Okay.
I was going I didn't do a full count because I was kind of thinking like, I wonder if I've made my money back on my Regal Pass, because this year has definitely been hard for me to see things, and so you need to see 2 movies a month to break even. I think I've seen 22 or 23 now.
Okay.
So I just need to see one more movie by the end of the year to break even, and then one more movie to like. And I made money back.
You're gonna want to see Nosferatu.
I'm gonna see, but I'll see Nosferatu, and
you're gonna see next week's topic, Red One. So that'll be one ticket. You'll see Nosferatu. You'll probably see Wicked. You'll see Wicked. Gladiator 2.
Gladiator 2. I want to see.
You're going to probably see that Bob Dylan bullshit. You know.
I don't think so.
Yeah, you ain't catching me in that.
I think I did count. I think I'll see, assuming everything goes right, I think I'll see 27 total. So, like, the back half, the last 2 months of the year, I think I'll do okay.
When I get home, I'm going to do mine. I'm going to see how many.
Oh, as I was scrolling, I was like, I know Ben has seen this. I know he's seen this. Okay. It's like, you must have seen 50 movies.
I could do it right now. Let me do some quick counting. All right.
I have 2 things I want to say about Heretic.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
One thing I want to say about that, I just want to compliment the filmmaking of it. It's the only shot that kind of like really stands out, but just a great shot of her climbing up the ladder and then kind of going through the miniature. And then as she's going through the door of the miniature, she comes out of the door in the real, all in one shot. Fantastic shot. Love that. One of my favorite shots of the year. And then the other last thing is, I know you're very anti-religion. I'm not a religious person, but I do find value in like the idea of belief and faith. Like I find the religions interesting, and I like religious characters in movies and stories. I think they can be kind of fun. So I don't discount religion as harshly as you. Mm-hmm. But I just like at the end where she gets stabbed and she's kind of doing her praying, or right before she starts praying. And she's just like, yeah, look, praying is bullshit. And I think whether you believe or not in praying, I think deep down we all know praying does absolutely nothing. Mm-hmm. There was a study that praying does nothing. Mm-hmm. So it only kind of furthered his argument, but at the same time she's like, but it's really more like, it's just nice to think about other people from time to time. Yeah. And that just made me feel like better, because that's, I think, that's what
religion should be.
That's what we're all looking for from religion. Mm-hmm. It's like we go there because we're looking for a place to belong and to care about people and to build community. And that's the wonderful thing about religion. It's just you can go to those places and they say, well, you guys are here, you're part of our community, but now how do we kick out everybody or get them into ours? And so they have to feel there's good and bad, God and the devil and all that stuff, yada, yada, yada. But that's why I can find some joy out of the idea of it, even if I don't myself believe in any of the nonsense. Also, do you think they picked? It seems like whenever there's a religion to pick on, it's always the Mormons.
Well, do you think that was the one? Besides Scientology, it's also the easiest one to pick apart because it wasn't that long ago that it started. Like, when we look at relics of the past, some things are destroyed by time and by war. This was not that long ago. Yeah. And the fact that they've flip-flopped on a lot of their issues of this is good, now it's not good, oh, now it's good again. And it's silly. Whereas like some things you could say like, well, I'm not quite sure about that. We have things pro and con about the Bible. I'm not sure. Like, no, we could definitively say this is bullshit. Mm-hmm. Because Mormons and Scientologists, they are the two stupidest religions. Whatever you believe, all religion is dumb, but they
takes over here.
But they are the stupidest. There's enough evidence out there that just shows they are absolutely dumb. So
I mean, my level of knowledge of the Mormons was the first thing I knew about them, quote unquote, was the South Park episode. Then that was my knowledge of Mormons for the longest time. Mm-hmm. And then I saw that Andrew Garfield show,
Banner of Heaven.
Under the Banner of Heaven. Great show. That taught me a lot and was so frustrating to watch. This is shocking. Mm-hmm. And then I saw the Book of Mormon, which I don't expect to be accurate, but it was just like, oh, if this is anywhere accurate to their beliefs, this is super silly. Yep. And then now there's this thing. So in the span of 3 years, I've gotten a lot of Mormon stuff. Yeah. And just Religion's dumb.
Yep. So I did my count.
Okay.
You want to take a guess?
Is it over 50?
It is.
Jesus. I'm going to say 72.
72.
Is it really?
It's 72.
Fuck yeah.
You're so good, Steve. Yeah, I've seen 72 movies in theaters. That's just in theaters. And I have TV shows and movies at home.
Those are rookie numbers, man. We got to get those numbers up. Get them over 100.
I can maybe hit 100. not in theater. No.
I mean, you've seen 100 movies this year.
Oh, yeah. I've seen 150.
Not counting repeats or whatever.
Sure.
But just in theaters, 72. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Good for you.
Well, what else are you going to do with your life when you have nothing else to do? Yeah, I was talking to Nick and just talking about like things you know a lot about. Like he knows a lot about UFC and boxing and things like that. He's like, besides pop culture and movies, what other thing do you have a vast knowledge of? I'm like, I don't.
Potato chip factories.
No, it's like I just have a little bit of knowledge of a bunch of stuff.
Sure.
I never was able to focus it in on one thing because nothing ever entertained me as much as movies. Mm-hmm. So, anywho, well, all right, let's wrap this up. This is a long one. Next week, Red 1.
Hooray.
I looked. There's probably something else coming out as well. I'm not sure, but we'll see. So if you want to get in contact with us, we are at WRPLpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Threads. Not Twitter anymore. I'm not fucking doing that. I'm deleting that shit. Absolutely not. So Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. As always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And keep consuming.
And pray to your Lord.